Hi, and welcome to New God Sunday School. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. And Saturday, May 6th is Free Comic Book Day, and there'll be a Free Comic Book Day edition of I Am Stan. Ask your local retailer to reserve a copy of this for you. It's a comic book length excerpt of the larger I Am Stan book. The I Am Stan hardcover will be available in September, and there's a pre-order link in the show notes below where you can pre-order that book. The Forever People, the prisoners of the power, and the power being the anti-life equation, the big MacGuffin that the whole, New Gods epic hinges on. We saw it with Sonny Sumo a couple issues ago. And I think with this issue, we see it again, but this time it's in the hands of a bad guy. I think Kirby had the idea of okay, we saw the anti-life equation, this frightening, terrifying power, but it was in the hands of a good guy. So let's ratchet things up a little. And now somebody else has the anti-life equation, but it's not Sonny Sumo. It's somebody who's actually kind of reprehensible and is, using it to consolidate power on Earth. Great cover, by the way. I remember being real excited when I tracked down this issue. And like issue 1 of Forever People, it starts off with a rhyme, a verse. In issue 1, it seemed almost like Kirby was writing the lyrics to a folk song or something, or like a Dylan-esque folk song. But this time it seems like it's, just a simple, nursery rhyme, based on this is the house that Jack built. This is the barrier that Bates built. It's long and wide and deep and expensive, but it keeps visitors far from the gates where Bates lives. This is the vast wasteland on the other side of the barrier that Bates owns. It's patrolled and guarded by an army that Bates bought. And as we get closer to Bates' gates, we pass through the town that's empty of all whom Bates didn't want, and that was everybody who lived there. But beyond the gates of Bates' estates lies the mystery that lurks in the lovely, sprawling, crawling silence. It's below in the depths beneath the estates that belong to Bates, where his elaborate shield of privacy is penetrated. I think it's a really strong opening to a story, and we get this real sense of sort of paranoia and totalitarianism and the idea of somebody who's so rich they can own their own town. Kirby will return to this motif again. It feels a little bit like, Dr. Doom's Latveria. This episode, it's called Prisoners of the Power, and Jack Kirby was a huge fan of the Prisoner TV show. And there were some Dr. Doom stories in the Fantastic Four that had sort of a prisoner element to it. And this feels like it could almost be a prisoner episode too. And Jack will later on, with OMAC, return to this theme of a billionaire buying a whole city and doing with it as he pleases. How did you birds get in here? Stand back. You're nervous, dog. You missed. But of course your gun is useless against the supernatural. So this feels like the opening of, some kind of 60s BBC TV show, maybe like The Avengers or something. The prisoner fits into that mold. Shot after shot blasts through the damp, cold darkness of the eerie hollows that reach out like crooked spiders in the earth below. The secrets that surround the name of Bates are under assault by strange invaders. For these secrets hide a man in possession of a force of terrifying magnitude. The man with the power. There's this sort of satanic sect that's in the catacombs beneath Bates' estates. Bates has his own private army. Billionaire Bill Bates has his own private army. And what we're witnessing is a takeover of that cult, that these are, outside invaders taking over the sect. You saw us materialize and put on the masks and costumes of the sect. We're new disciples. We're here to honor Mr. Bates. You're up to no good. Let me go. Let me go. Fool, the power of our touch is enough to destroy your weapon. But your caterwauling deserves more severe response. Then the bearers halt at the throne hewn out of funeral stone. As the leader can see, we've disposed of the last century in these catacombs. Let one of us replace him, as we've done with the members of the sect that practice down here. So the sect has been replaced with these new guys who we don't know who they are yet. And they're going to replace some of this sort of security squad, some of Bates's private army with their own members as well. And this leader is sitting at a throne made of like a giant tombstone, says R.I.P. And the face of that cult member certainly looks a lot like Darkseid, with that the cracks in the face and the nose, a lot of space between the bridge of the nose and the top of the mouth. We control these caves. We are now the sect. And so they bang the gong. Hear that now? It means the takeover is complete. As our comrades are the sect, we are the sentries. So these are the two fake replacement members of Bates' army. And now they're talking to the guy at the front desk, presumably a legitimate member of Bates's private army. The stage is set for events that are indescribably sinister. What has happened in the catacombs is a surprise twist in the grotesque play whose star is $1 billion Bates. But not all of the cast has been assembled. Fate and the supercycle are arriving with the Forever People. Get a load of what's happening. We've got tourists in town, and they've brought their own fireworks. So the Forever People are materializing in full Kirby crackle in the middle of this town, and they're sort of threatened, and they don't understand, Viking. Don't volunteer any further explanations, Moonrider. These are hostile men, and they're about to use their weapons. Those were your last words. So this guy's about to kill them. Viking turns around and punches this guy before he can start killing the Forever People. Those hippies move like greased lightning. Open fire. Kill the lot of them. Look at them move. It's a full-on fire fight. Big Bear is, in the middle of, doing some work on the supercycle. And demons, dregs, what's all that noise about? You there, you military types, put those weapons away. I'm engaged in extremely delicate work. But they're just shooting, and it's just bouncing off of Big Bear. He throws a truck at them. They run away. And then he steps out from hiding, and oof, he gets hit with something. It knocks the wind out of him, doesn't kill him, knocks the wind out of him. Turns out it was a shell from a tank. He's alive. He can't be human. Of all the mad acts I've ever witnessed, that was the meanest. If I didn't have an excess of free-floating atoms to reinforce my body structure, that shot could have seriously injured me. Now he throws the rest of the truck at them. They got him at point-blank range. These guys are stone-cold killers. Even that doesn't have an effect. Even a shot at point-blank range with special electro pistols able to stun a regiment don't have an effect on Big Bear. In fact, the charge just bounces back at them. And now, that light, someone's phasing in. It must be ping, ping, ping. Seraphin, you copycat cowboy. You homed in on my circuit signals after all. With the help of Motherbox. When our cycle circuits brought us to this miserable place, I began to probe for signs of you. Then the trouble started. Big Bear, when I gave the order to take cover, it included you. Seraphin's back, and he's got Motherbox. I should be reading the Riot Act to Big Bear, but I'm so glad to see you, Seraphin. Mark, Viking, beautiful dreamer, I must tell you. Hold it. Something's happening. Jack Kirby drew an extra page of this sort of, Forever People versus Bates's private army firefight that ended up being, jettisoned from the story because the story was running long. It's a 26-page story. It ended up being 27 pages, so he just sort of threw it out. And so, we're getting the sort of joyous reunion of the Forever People. Seraphin is finally, after a few issues, rejoined with his friends, and the family is complete. That store window has become a telescreen, and we've got a viewer. The name is Bates. $1 billion Bates. That means I've got money, son. That means I've got all that goes with it, and then some. I've just been told that my men can't handle you. Well, I can. Now, in the next few seconds, one of my officers will contact you. You're to obey any order he gives you. Any order. Now, I really like this, the separation of the eyes and the mouth, the face, sort of having that face at a diagonal. It's just kind of a cool comics thing, and kind of, I think, makes this extra unnerving, seeing isolated eyes and an isolated mouth, and that, you could just sort of slide them over to complete the face. But I don't know, it just creates a really nice, eerie tension. That's an arbitrary attitude you've got, sir. We mean to resist any further attempt to place us in jeopardy. Ha, you'd need the powers of Darkseid himself to make this scare tactic work. What a windbag. All right, you characters, about face. Stop the rapping and form a line, single file. Now, follow me. This is impossible, but I must do as he says. I can't help but obey. Nor I. Wherever he leads, I've got to follow. I've got the power, friends. Had it since birth, but never knew it. I always figured I got my way 'cause I was a great wheeler dealer. Well, somehow folks just kept giving me whatever I wheeled and dealed for. And that was money, friends, heaps of it. But it wasn't just the business savvy that did the trick. No, sir, it was the power. I had it, but didn't know it. That is, not until I took fear of the law and lit out of the country and found the sect. Oh, that horrible satanic band of evil worshippers. You're dangerous, Bates. I don't know why I didn't turn in our report on you instead of coming here. Yes, you do, friend. You came here 'cause I told you to. My cigar seems to bother you. Guess it's kinda strong and smelly like, eh? Maybe you'd change your mind if you tried a puff. I said smoke it. Not much of a smoker, are you, lawyer? Just keep trying. Choking but trying. 'Cause you ain't got any choice in the matter. So yeah, this guy's throwing his weight around, treating these people like puppets, using the power, the anti-life equation, the ability to take over the free will of another person with a word. We saw it demonstrated on the Forever People. Now he's doing it here. And, we saw anti-life in the hands of a hero, but this is exactly the kind of person you want to keep it out of the hands of. How about that, Mr. Big Publisher? He's gonna smoke that cigar until I say he can drop it. You believe that? I believe it, Bates. I believe you've acquired some kind of strange power. A pistol in my plate. I suppose I don't have to guess what you've got in mind for me. I'm telling you to pick up that pistol, point it at your head, and pull the trigger. This is something like, we see in Kirby's work around this period of sort of having, like a dinner on a tray, and then you lift the lid off and there's some surprise inside. You'd kill yourself quick as a whistle if there were bullets in that gun. Click, 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 click. This is like a real kind of, this could be a, pop art painting here with this half face, with this, distraught look. This is real, when you think of Kirby as pop art, this is a really good example of it. And you, Miss Prominent Committee Woman, and this respected leader of our academic community, you see now what it means to antagonize me. Look at ya, the national panel appointed by Congress to investigate the dealings of billion-dollar Bates. Well, now you're no more in my puppets. So yeah, this idea of somebody who is sort of above the law, above any kind of oversight, because of his immense power. And this power in this instance is the anti-life equation, but you can imagine sort of like the real world analogs of this. Kirby's not creating just some arbitrary universe for this. He wants to say something about our world and our times and the nature of power. When I called each of you by phone, you listened. When my plane came to get you, you boarded it. Now, rise, puppets. I'm your boss now. In the next few minutes, I'm going to be everybody's boss. So he's planning a big move. He's gotten to this point, and then Congress has sent these people to kind of, look into his dealings, and now he's got complete control of them to the point that, they'll shoot themselves if he says so. And now he's gonna take his power. He's gonna do his big move to take over the world. Of course, it's going to take a little mumbo-jumbo to satisfy the sect, but I owe it to him. Follow me, we're going to take the elevator down to the catacombs. Then the rumors are true, you do conduct secret rituals on this estate. Well, whatever these mystics have released in your mind, Bates, it may become too big for you to handle. Just keep telling yourself that, puppet. Keep hoping it, even as I spread the power worldwide. They're being led further and further, and led to the sect, and they're being put into stocks and brought before Bates's sect. And now Bates there to oversee it with his cult leader. In a large central area, the sect gathers, chanting to its ancient deities, inciting the unseen to grant them the power. And now we have it. This sect has kept the faith and evoked the power and gained the power and made the vessel to store the power, a vessel shaped by study, by brain stimulation, by strength of will. And you know who that little old vessel is, brothers. $1 billion Bates came to you and you showed him the way. $1 billion Bates and Glorious Godfrey, they have a lot in common. They have this sort of, folksy kind of like P.T. Barnum, this like very American kind of bluster that sort of characterizes them. Now, again, the face of that cult leader, it sure looks a lot like Darkseid. I mean, the colorist has colored it pink as it has the rest of these masks, which again, I think is a really cool, warm, cool kind of thing of the blue outfits and the pink heads. But looks like Jack Kirby's drawn Darkseid there. I mean, I think the plan, at least at this point, is that this guy pulls off his mask and it's Darkseid, but we'll see. And now, let him show you the way, brothers. Stay at his side as he embraces all of mankind with the power. After years of generating the power in secrecy, building it to its full and fearsome potency, I establish it this night as world regency. He's going to become ruler of the earth. He's going to broadcast this, this power of his. And man will answer, Brother Bates. Man will answer. Man will answer because he must answer. He will be as these symbols about him to be revealed. And Bates has his little, insignia everywhere. His private army has the letter B for Bates, and he's got his B cufflinks. This guy's, fully branded himself, this blowhard. And so now he's presenting the forever people. Behold, brothers, behold the living symbols of mankind without the guidance of the power. His mind is free and aimless, his body shackled by disunity. Wow, get that Orwell doublethink. I've read 1984. It sounds nastier when spoken. I like that line. It's like watching Darkseid's image reflected in a human mirror. And Darkseid is a reflection of something that's within humanity. Tonight we're gonna harness those minds, brothers, unify those minds in Bates's thoughts, free their bodies for Bates' orders, and glorify our triumph by obliterating these ugly symbols of free man. Uh-oh. In the name of the power, I once again put on the stimulus hat, which in this century has found what the ancient sect brothers have searched for, its rightful wearer, whose mind will now stir the mystic circuits to surge beyond all horizons and grip and hold and unify all within range of the power. This stimulus hat is going to broadcast Bates's message. Placed on the head of $1 billion Bates, the stimulus hat leaps to light and crackles with cosmic energy. Suddenly, the energy intensifies, grows brighter, grows unbearably brighter. Then, wham, perfect. He's in shock, but still alive, and the anti-life equation lies ready to be plucked from that living brain. Fires of the pits, some invisible force has snatched him from my grasp. And if you haven't, already figured out that these might be people from Apocalypse, that fires of the pits, that's a very Apocalypse saying. And again, looks an awful lot like Darkseid. Don't stand there and gape at it, you fools. Haul that man down. Get him. After him. Don't stop until you've got him. So Bates has been subdued by this helmet. There's been a switcheroo. The regular pact was going to have a, sort of broadcasting helmet, but this replacement pact has, created sort of like a stun helmet to sort of knock him out so they can take him away and pluck the anti-life equation. But somebody's levitating him away. Turns out those stocks have been empty the entire time. Idiots, you're bearing empty chains. I don't understand, sire. The prisoners were in our keep. They couldn't have. The answer is simple, you dolts. The forever people were never in your keep. You've been tricked by the female. She has the power to make illusions, Darkseid, like the one you've been chasing. Here's your quarry, Darkseid. Bates can no more fly than a groundhog. So the forever people, a couple things. The leader of this sect has actually been Darkseid all along, even though it looked very much like Darkseid. Now, maybe he was wearing a pink mask like the rest of the pact, like the rest of the sect. We don't see that pink mask anywhere here. That's not to say he doesn't have it, not to say that it didn't flip back, fall down, get placed down, something. But I think Kirby probably planned on that leader of the sect being Darkseid and then kind of for whatever reason, decided to change that and changed it to Darkseid, which, that's fine. Maybe it was a misdirection, a deliberate misdirection. I don't know, but this is how it plays out. Now, good friends, let's leave with our prize. So they're getting away with, now they have the guy with the anti-life equation. And I wonder, Darkseid's the guy looking for the mind with the anti-life equation. They're here to stop him. The Forever People and the rest of, the people of New Genesis who are involved in the war are there to stop Darkseid. But I do wonder, I guess they're kind of looking for the mind with the anti-life equation too. And then I guess what they would do is, find the mind with the anti-life equation and then keep him away from Darkseid. Maybe take this guy on a boom tube to New Genesis and give him, a nice sort of happy place to live, sort of like the best imaginable version of prison, and keep him secure away from Darkseid. I don't know. It's interesting to consider. There's a clear corridor. Seraphim can activate Motherbox and phase us out. Hurry, if Darkseid is here, Darkseid can't be far behind. And I'm guessing, maybe at the last minute he substituted Darkseid just to kind of give us an extra beat, kind of, a little build up to when Darkseid does show up. Hold it.
If you still fear the Omega effect, you'll hand over Bates.
So this guy threatening them with the Omega effect. There's only one person I know who masters the Omega effect. The Omega effect can't wipe us out without striking Bates. What? And so Big Bear uses Bates as a human shield, knowing that Darkseid won't, zap him with the Omega effect. He wants Bates. But then, Mr. Bates, when I saw him in their hands, I reacted too fast. One of Bates's army, not one of the replacement army guys, but one of his loyal army guys, shot him. Crack. So then Darkseid, presumably Darkseid, this guy in this costume, hits this guy over the head, breaks his neck, it sounds like. But coloring error, they color this guy to look like Bates. I think the colorist thought that this was, I don't know, maybe Big Bear hitting Bates, but it's actually this guy hitting this guy hitting this guy. And so this should be green, this should be green, this should be green.
That priceless brain with its anti-life equation lost.
Forgive me, sire. I brought the guard. I knew he was given power over the Forever People. The one guard that wasn't one of their replacement guards was this guy, because he's the guy that Bates entrusted with the anti-life equation. He was the guy who he was referring to when Bates told the Forever People, do whatever this guy tells you to. So he's the one actual member of Bates's army that they allowed to be down here because they felt like, that was a very useful thing to have a guy who's got control over the Forever People. And the mask is revealed, and yes, indeed, this guy who's looking for the anti-life equation, who's talking about using Omega effect, it is indeed Darkseid. And again, it's kind of interesting that Darkseid is the one who is disguised as the cult leader, and Darkseid's disguised as just like one of the lackeys. Again, I think maybe this is an idea that occurred to Kirby in the telling. But in any event, it is kind of nice. It's like, Darkseid's a schemer, a plotter, and he doesn't have to pretend to be the leader. He can pretend to be the guy you least expect.
$1 billion Bates. To think that destiny would store the ultimate power in a yapping jackal's hide.
Yes, how disgustingly democratic the fates are, sire. Another great line from Big Bear. It's better that the equation has been lost with Bates than won to you.
Silence. This night's charade is over.
Bates would have fumbled it. You'd have used it too well.
Snatching the anti-life equation from its bearer was a dangerous and delicate operation at best.
And when you try it again, we shall be there. So, this idea that there's a lot of people out there who have the anti-life equation. A lot of human beings, maybe not millions, maybe not hundreds, but there are definitely more than one. And Darkseid's looking for them. So, he found one. He's going to keep looking for another to pop up. And the Forever People will be there to stop him. We won't stop fighting until there's an end to your war. And an end to you.
I said be silent. Are you warriors of New Genesis or some prattling gaggle of half-grown fowl? Straighten up. Look like what you pretend to be.
This is my favorite scene of the whole issue. And one of Darkseid's best scenes. I love Again, I feel like Darkseid's best moments are in the Forever People comic. So the fact that the Forever People seems to be the sort of overlooked one of the sort of New Gods, Mr. Miracle, Forever People triangle, I think is like a big mistake, because Darkseid's the superstar that comes out of these series, and his best moments are all in this magazine. He's a co-star of the Forever People in a way that he is not in New Gods or Mr. Miracle.
Thank you, that's better. War may be hell, but only when fought by a sloppy military.
We're not your robots.
Don't let your courage and loyalty to New Genesis blind you to respect for a dangerous enemy. This is no lackey you're addressing. On Apocalypse, my rank is equal to High Father. Minions of great might quake at incurring my disfavor.
We hate you, great Darkseid, but we've never underrated your power.
I'll take that witless and pitiful display of grudging admiration to my heart. Baboon, clown, you talk only when a superior gives you permission.
Yes, sir. I mean, this is a great scene. First of all, Darkseid, we think of him as this giant, this overwhelming force, and, these sort of cyclopean statues of him all over Apocalypse. But, he's not a giant. Big Bear is a giant. Big Bear's taller than him. So, I love, him sort of like looking up to Big Bear and not at all, intimidated by this, much, much larger opponent. I can imagine Kirby's maybe drawing on this kind of stuff as a father, where he's kind of, yelling at his kids and they're like all like taller than him. But again, a great moment, because now, Darkseid in sort of the modern age in the comics and in the movies is depicted as a giant, which again, I'm not against, but I mean, I really like what Kirby's doing here. And then the comedy here, when Jack Kirby does sort of, comedic cartooning, which is a deep part of his style. It's baked in there. I mean, he cut his teeth working on Popeye cartoons. So this is in his blood.
Learn discipline, Big Bear, and you'll learn the ways of your enemy.
Moonrider has been watching silently, watching Darkseid, and listening to his last word. Then, Darkseid, you demon, you've tricked us.
Yes, I suppose I have.
Great body language, great, sort of resignation, I guess. There's still time to repay you, still time to unleash my power. So if you're a fan of the Forever People, you'll be a fan of sort of, the Super Sentai series, Power Rangers, all that stuff. And I really feel it here. Everybody's got their powers, and we're finally seeing Mark Moonrider's power. He's charging it up.
It's too late, Moonrider. I'm beyond your megaton touch.
I love that. The megaton touch. What a great name for his power. And we're seeing the power manifest. He charges it up, places his hands on the shoulders of Darkseid and lets loose with the megaton touch. Even as fission roars from Mark's fingers in a mighty blast, Darkseid stands unharmed. The megaton blast, it passed right through him.
Phantom fire can't harm Darkseid. You're fading, Mark Moonrider. You and your little unit, fading like ghosts.
Mark, it's true, we're phasing out. They're gone, sire. I hate to say this, but those brats managed to get too close to us. They could have. So, I mean, Orion is banging his head against the wall, trying to get close to Darkseid to sort of, turn the tables on him, rip him to pieces. Mr. Miracle, Darkseid is just this remote god he couldn't even imagine getting within sight of. But the Forever People, for the second time, have Darkseid and Darkseid at a disadvantage.
I know, Darkseid. We were in danger. Thus my little act, my little mock troop inspection. Moonrider realized it too late, but I had already saturated his unit with invisible Omega rays, and they began to vanish, even as this stone.
So I guess Darkseid, as he's sort of walking back and forth up and down as the sort of drill instructor across the Forever People, he's sort of, as he's looking at them, he's shooting invisible Omega beams at them, slowly saturating them with it and to the point where they fade away. But somehow I feel that you've spared the Forever People again.
Greatness does not come from killing the young. I'm willing to wait until they grow. Now we depart.
So that restraint of Darkseid, we see it again. To him, they're kids. He'd lose face. It would be beneath him to kill these children. But the minute they're old enough, all bets are off. There is a great surge of power from within Darkseid. The somber caves rock from its bursting echoes. Then Darkseid and his minions are gone. We've sort of seen through the issues that like Boom Tube is not the only means of travel. I mean, the Forever People have the Electron Road that they follow. And always, when the thunder dies, the wake of the gods is strewn with the debris of celestial scheming. Well, that closes the case of $billion Bates. So we're kind of seeing, like, you're going to see more of these sort of satanic cults in Jack Kirby's work. From this point onward, it becomes, a motif. This is the 70s. This is like the era of, The Exorcist, of Rosemary's Baby. It's just part of the zeitgeist. So you're going to see it more and more. So we're seeing it here. Between this issue and the next two issues, we're kind of floating into the territory that Kirby's going to cover with the Demon. So I don't know if the Demon was in production at this point, but we're getting closer to that aesthetic, this this sort of satanic cult, all this sort of horror stuff. And as you can see from the teaser for the next issue, The Monster in the Morgue, it gets even more into Jack Kirby's The Demon territory. But new doors have opened in this investigation. Who were the principal actors in that little drama? Big fish, I suspect. This crown that Bates wore has been fashioned for some very unique heads. The crown of power. Bates wore it for only an instant. What would we have done with it? It's all too frightening. We're lucky to be alive. That goes for all of mankind. Let's go. We have a call to make to Washington. Meanwhile, beyond the estates, we've materialized on the supercycle. Tricky, Darkseid. We'll meet again. We could have fared worse. He's a strange enemy. It's interesting. According to Mark Evanier, Jack Kirby partially based Darkseid on Nixon. And, Tricky Dick Nixon and Tricky Darkseid. Grip the Electron Road. Instruments lead us wherever we're needed. This has been a standoff, and that's better than defeat. So I feel like the Forever People, it's kind of like an Easy Rider comic. It's kind of like they got their motorcycle and they're going from town to town, and each place they go to is going to be some other adventure. There's really like a game plan, how all the little pieces fit together. Forever People, on the other hand, feels a little more freewheeling, and that's not a bad thing. Almost kind of like Commandy, and that you could have these little episodic adventures with them that could go on and on forever. It really is a shame that all of these series got canceled except for Mr. Miracle, and even Mr. Miracle eventually went away. But I see a lot of potential in the Forever People. Where Supercycle goes, nobody knows. That is, not until it lands. But it's bound to be a place where eerie and unusual things are happening. That's why the next issue of the Forever People is a blockbuster. Don't miss The Monster in the Morgue. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, and I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. And Saturday, May 6th is Free Comic Book Day, and there's going to be a Free Comic Book Day edition of I Am Stan, a comic book length excerpt of the larger I Am Stan book, available in stores on Free Comic Book Day. Ask your local comics retailer to set aside a copy for you. And in the show notes below, there's a pre-order link where you can pre-order the full book, which will be out in September. On Free Comic Book Day, Saturday, May 6th, I'll be appearing at Phantom of the Attic Comics, Oakland, in Pittsburgh, from 1:30 till 4. I hope to see you there.